Hey, welcome back to the channel. So CEO Teezy was get back for young Dolph, man. There's no way that nobody saw him get hit up and his car end up in a ditch and it's not on the sky cam. It's supposed to be on the sky cam, but they not gonna release it. And you know the people in Memphis, they seen it happen too, but they don't want to say nothing because nobody want to step in between this Yo Gotti Young Dolph beef. They hit up Young Dolph. This was get back for Young Dolph, man. Everybody knows that is point blank period at this time. We all know CEO Teezy was involved in the setup of Young Dolph at the Makita's Cookies allegedly. Now the cookie shop people, they coming out because they connected to CEO Teezy. CEO Teezy was true La Mafia, and they the ones who's running that particular side of Memphis. They might have even been the people to set him up, really, because that could happen. You could get backdoored by your own group. You could get set up by your own people, whether it's because you might have told or you going to the feds or something like that. So they just gonna give you up. At the end of the day, they gonna give you up so that they could keep what they got going on still going on. And so that's what it is really at the end of the day. The dudes that hit up CEO Teezy, they was looking for him for a long time, man. They came to Orange Mound, they came to Castalia, they came to downtown, everywhere. They went to all the bars. They found CEO Teezy and they hit him up while he was driving, man. They seen where he was at, followed him, wait till it got into a dark road, and that's when they made they move. They boxed him in at the red light, and they did him just like Tupac did when Suge Knight and them was at the stoplight and the dudes pulled up. They pulled up, one car went and cut off CEO Teezy's car from the front. The other car, he tried to get around them. The other car came up from the other side. Then both cars got on the left of CEO Teezy and pushed him to the right onto the side of the road. And then that's when they start spraying at him out the window. It's dudes who's sticking out the sunroof. They sticking out the windows of the back seat. And they spraying Teezy's car the whole time. It happened for like a good 20 seconds straight. They were spraying at him. And then you will see how he basically, when he got hit, he started to swerve, veering over to the right side of the road. And then that's when his car started slowing down and it slowly just went into the ditch, into the bushes. And then he didn't even get found until a couple hours later. The people who was driving on the road and the people who was walking down the sidewalks and the businesses nearby and all that stuff, some of the people seen what was going on, but they knew that it was one of those Memphis street situations. So they're going to stay out of it, because if they was coming out to tell, then the people who still on the run for hitting up CEO Teezy could double back and be like, okay, these are the people that was in the area when this happened. And so if they tell, we going to go get them too. Like a lot of times they try to take out the witnesses so that they never have the witnesses come to the trial and give their testimony, because then there's no case. They have to drop the case and let the people free and let them beat the case. And so that's why they go after the witnesses, and that's why the witnesses don't want to come out and speak on anything they saw, because they don't want to have to get in between this. Like, you already know people are dropping for this, so it's not going to be any, like, they're not going to think twice about dropping the witness if they already just dropping people outside in broad daylight on camera and 4K footage, and they trying to get away with it. Like, Memphis is a small town, so they're going to easily be able to figure out the security footage, the ADT footage. You have the traffic cameras right there at the intersections that they could go back, rewind, look at when the cars came through the intersection, go to the intersection before that, and they really just look at all the camera footage in backwards in reverse and figure out what house, what neighborhood did these people came from, what hood did they meet at, did they meet at a parking lot. They can even follow CEO Teezy in reverse to figure out where he was coming from. All they got to do is just keep going down the street and keep subpoenaing and getting footage, cameras, ring doorbells, surveillances, ADTs, all that. They get them, and then they'll be able to figure out where exactly everybody came from until it led them to the pretty much the crime scene where the dude's car was in the ditch, windshield busted out, window shattered, everything like that, dents all up inside the car. It looked like they must have rammed into him. They must have had some type of spikes on the tire of their car on the wheel, so when they bump into him, it's gonna scratch up the side of his car. It was basically like they was both riding in like some buckets, man. They were both riding in buckets. These, trust me, these guys don't have the means. Like, they're not on the path to where they're riding in exotic luxury vehicles. No, this is in Memphis. They're riding in buckets. They're the dudes who's basically the lowest of the lowest of the food chain when it comes to the hierarchy in Memphis. They're the ones who's going to be that either get hit up in the streets or they're doing the hits. And so they're the lowest of the food chains. These are the crash test dummies. So as usual, the crash test dummies is riding down airways in buckets. The ops see each other. They've been looking for CEO Teezy. It's quite possibly could be money on his head. Who knows, right? Maybe somebody like that doesn't like Govan, that doesn't like any of them. Like, maybe it could be a PRE, Paper Route Woo, whoever it is that probably put money on Teezy head, or it's just get back. Like, they just don't need to put money on his head. They already respect Dolph enough and ride for Dolph enough to just go out there and do it and just even the score. It's a wild mentality, but this is how things work, man. And so essentially, they driving down airways in the bucket. Once they spot CEO Teezy, they try to pit maneuver him and spin him out. But then that didn't work, and so they just try to go to the left of him and run him off to the road so that he goes into the right. And they spraying at him the whole time about doing that. They had to dodge a couple street signs, the speed limit signs, and the car, it hopped the curb. Once it hopped the curb, you see the sparks fly. The sky cam caught everything on footage, man. I want y'all to know that there's something called a sky cam in Memphis. It's a camera that they have on a long pole, and it's very, very high up in the sky. And what they do is that they have it pointing down at the streets and at the sidewalks, so that if something does happen, there's like a camera up in the sky that's going to catch all the stuff that happens on the certain block in each hood. And basically, when they hear about somebody like up in the pole and firing and anything like that, then they go and get the sky cam footage. And then that's how they're able to actually get evidence, pictures of the suspects and getaway cars and everything like that. So when the two cars pulled up next to Teezy and sprayed him down, ran him off the road, was bumping him, playing bumper cars, trying to put the oil slick and throw the banana peel out so he'll spin his car out and everything like that. This was like a Little Rascals Mario Kart all on the road. Like, they was going at it, they was battling, they was bumping each like bumper cars. So while that's happening, the camera's recording everything like that. So it got all of their license plates, it got all of their faces and everything on that, because the dudes weren't wearing ski masks when they were in the car. They just had hoodies and the hoodies up. So when they turned around to look for 12 right before they floored it, they turned around and they got their face on a frozen steel capture on the sky cam in Memphis and everything. And so now they're looking for him because they know that this was get back for Dolph. A lot of people didn't realize that all of the guys that got caught up for the Dolph stuff, and a lot of them are still behind bars. Some of them got released, like Big Jook, Govan. They took plea deals. They're cooperating with the feds. They're under witness protection, so they can't even be like pulled up on. Really, they're gonna have to catch them super lacking. And so what happens is that they know CEO Teezy was a suspect that was at large. Like, they never got him yet. Either they tried to get him and it was the wrong guy. They got Shondell and released him. So it was always sloppy work about getting the dudes who hit up Dolph. And so they thought CEO Teezy was actually one of the dudes who was one of the hitmen. They thought he was the hitman in the streets. And this is why they went after him. They was carefully watching. They knew that the feds hadn't picked him up yet because he was hiding out somewhere with Black Youngster. He was hiding out with a lot of girls that ended up backdooring him. So once they dropped the low on him and people from Orange Mound started to peep, because remember, he's not supposed to be in Orange Mound. He's not supposed to be anywhere near Castalia Market in Orange Mound. So when he pulled up in Orange Mound, The people that backdoored him dropped the location to the PRE dudes. The PRE dudes, Paper Route Wu told them, slide out. They slide out, and CEO Teezy is still riding through Orange Mound. He had just got to his car, and he's leaving the parking lot now. 2 blocks down the road, once he pulls out of the project housing apartments, that's where they see him at a four-way intersection. He takes a right because he's trying to get around them. They pull a U-turn.